how do you communicate underwater?
Welcome to Colonize the Ocean podcast, where we discuss oceanic colonization, exploration, and education with your hosts Adam Jewell and Brendon Traxler.
So as we continue, I don't know why I say that, but as we're still talking about underwater habitats and underwater data centers specifically, and if you're just hopping into this, this is a series I've kind of been on here for the last couple of weeks about underwater data centers and why I believe that they are the not necessarily savior, but I believe it's the profitable center for underwater habitats. So the question I've been trying to answer is all these different aspects. So today we're going to talk about communication and not just talking to it, but when you're looking at underwater data centers, you're looking at the data as well, and speed is key factor there, getting that information to and from people. So what options do we have for an underwater data center? Or just being underwater in general, really. And this is something I've looked into quite a bit, is there's different things you can do. One, which is the most common, is just run a cable from the land to the habitat. And as long as you're not too far out, that's not really a big deal. Fiber can run quite a distance, so you can do that. And that's obviously ideally what you would want to have. But if you're out too far, or you're trying to completely isolate yourself from any land station whatsoever, you could run an umbilical to the surface, and then have some kind of satellite uplink. Whether now, fortunately, we have companies like Starlink that have a better up and down speed than in the past. Past satellite internet has been notoriously horrible because it had a decent download speed. But if you're trying to upload data, it was like dial-up days. And for anybody who's been around for a while, you remember what those are. So that has not been ideal. But fortunately, we have Starlink, and there's other companies out there in talks, that offer this. So competition's always good. But that's something else. But say you don't want to have that surface, then what do? At that point in time, you're kind of out of luck. There's not too much. I've talked to some companies about different kinds of transmitters that transmit information underwater from point A to point B wirelessly. And it's just the way water works. It's just there isn't anything out there yet. I was talking to somebody a couple of years ago, and they said the best they could do was basically almost dial-up speeds underwater, and it was just information. You couldn't do stream video or images or anything like that. So not ideal, especially when you're looking at data centers and everything they're pushing through there. When people are working and their businesses rely on that information, you have to be fast and speedy. So what a lot of places do is they'll have a redundancy. They'll have two different ones. Whether it's on land, if you're in a big office, you may have Comcast and AT&T as your failover, so that if one goes out, you instantly fall over to the other one, and you keep on working, and you don't know any differences. In the ocean, you don't really have that flexibility. So probably what will happen is, if it's vital like that, is you will have a cable running to the surface with a Starlink attached to it per se, and then you'll have one running to land as well. So there's always some sort of redundancy. Now, if you have to fail over to the Starlink service for whatever reason, you're going to definitely notice a speed decrease depending on what you're doing. But at least you're still up and you're running. So really, unfortunately, this is an area where I feel like having underwater habitats will increase that need for speed, for data speed underwater, and not so much heavily rely on satellites and cables. And we'll be able to put some money and some technology behind some sort of underwater wireless system. But as of right now, you're kind of out of luck. So really, that's all there is for now. Now, if my background is IT, and if anybody out there in IT is interested in this, this is an interesting topic, and there's a lot of information out there. But it all just seems to be dated because the technology has not advanced very much. All that being said, I hope you found this one at least a little bit more educational than some of the other ones where I just kind of talk about my thoughts on stuff. This was more factual, I think. But the question, which I try to always have one, is would your habitat, if you had one, would it be out too far to have a cable to it? And would you have to completely rely on satellite?